All right, I'm going to push record right there. We got a couple minutes, guys. A full house today, not only on the panel side, the talent side, as well as our partner side. So this is going to be exciting today. We spent a lot of time putting this deck together, and actually spent a lot of time rehearsing all of our moves today. Todd was messing up on his back flips. I mean, but I think we got it today.
Yeah.
We got a few more minutes, guys, but a great panel today. As usual with our weekly webinar series, these are they're fun discussions, but we definitely dive into it. We get to work. We try to present some pretty compelling topics each and every week. Andy, got to thank you, man. You've been we've had a lot of fun together over the last few weeks. Actually, he's trying to join the marketing team, join the on-camera stuff.
I wouldn't go that far. That's like the dark side of the marketing team.
Well, what we do every week, we get somebody on the hot seat, and again, like with compelling topics and so forth, it's a very successful forum for all of us to have a national conversation with the Snap One partners, and that's what we do each and every week. We got a couple hundred guys signed up today, so you guys have been through this with me for the last couple of years, the weekly webinar series, and this is nothing short of amazing with this panel today, but it's all about smart home. And thank you again, Andy, for kind of having the concept and paying all these talented guys to be on the show today. Geez, man, once we got the Blake deal, we had the attorneys in there and everything just to get Blake on this show, but everybody worked out, There's back end money.
Working with all the egos to pull them together into one team. No,
well, I got to say, could be true, but we're very accessible. You guys see us in the stores, as far as our training agendas and things like that. We definitely get this product to you today with kind of a conglomerate or a group effort with Smart Home. It's definitely a relevant conversation. Thank you, Andy. You see the panelists and everything else. You know what we're going to do? I did already press record. So everybody, you don't have to take pictures of the screen and so forth, but each week I send out an early morning Friday email. That's going to contain this custom slide deck, the whole entire conversation. I'll get you the video as well, so that you can share it with your team over the weekend and continue the conversation here. You're going to pick up some things, I'm sure, that are going to be very useful. So keep that in mind as we go through the next hour. But we're going to get to work. I really urge you guys to start your questions now. We've got plenty of guys who are going to be monitoring the panel or monitoring the Q&A. So let's utilize that for the next 60 minutes. Hey, nothing's off the table. I'd love to hear where you guys are at with all of our fine guests and vendors, if you will, with Lutron and God, we just got so much to kind of share today. But what's really special today is we worked for the last week on the integration of these different products together so we can present that to you. So I think that's really the takeaway today is you're going to see how these products interact, and we're going to be able to hear directly from the guys who really count in all of this. So I am Gary from Snap One Partner Stores. Really thank you guys for your participation every single week. I represent obviously Custom Plus. I represent Volutum. I'm here in LA in our studios. As well as AllNet and MRI back east. And each and every single week we do this. And that's the group who we're talking to, guys. I'm going to turn it over to Andy first, since Andy kind of has the control. Let's call him the pilot today. I'm just going to be the host. But Andy, maybe you could take us around if you'd like to do that and maybe set up this webinar and set up the next 60 minutes. And we'll go from there. Like I said, it's being recorded. Everybody's going to get an email. Everybody's going to get an email who actually registered, even if you didn't show up on this. So registration gets you privy to all the information that we're going to be able to send back out. And finally, hey, we're going to do this in 5 more hours? There's going to be another show today. So I'm having all my illustrious guests back, and we're going to go through this whole thing today. So if you got to bounce, you got to come back, do another registration, and we'll be back on at 2 p.m. West Coast. That's 5 p.m. East Coast. That'll be our twilight, and drinks are allowed. All right, from there, I'm going to turn it over to Andy. Andy, why don't you take us through, buddy? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gary. Appreciate everyone joining. We put a lot of time. Well, not hopefully, but we put a lot of time and effort into this with the respective parties, and just an idea that we had we couldn't do, and in-person trainings have been limited over this year. We're looking to expand that going into next year a little bit more. So thought this was another great way to kind of bring together some great brands and provide you not just the typical kind of sales marketing type webinar where we're talking about product lines and stuff, but a little bit deeper about how these great brands can work together and how you can provide your customers and consumers simple and repeatable installations and make your business, or make it a part of your business and make it more profitable. And on that note, I'll introduce, or actually just introduce and let you know, we also have Darren Medley from High Solutions here that's done a great job with integrating these brands into his business. So we've not just have the panelists here talking about the brands and the integrations, but have someone from the dealer community also represented here to kind of give you a little bit of insight on how he's been able to make this a success. So with that, obviously we have some great panelists with us. Blake Deal, who I'm sure most everybody knows everybody here, but Blake Deal, great guy from Lutron, the senior sales director there for residential systems. We've got Todd Towie from Ring, who's a national account manager for installed solutions. From Sonos, we've got JT Pruitt, who is a senior national trainer. I already introduced Darren. And then, of course, I'm Andy Balassi there, the Senior Business Development Manager at Snap One, responsible for onboarding and managing and working with a lot of our third-party vendors, hence my involvement. So with that, though, I don't want to talk too much. I want to actually turn it over to Blake to get us started. We're going to go through each brand, just kind of how they fit into the modern smart home. And then the second half is going to be how there are, and go through integrations of each brand. And then we'll have a little section and a little time for Darren to go through a couple items, and then we'll wrap it up, obviously, with Q&A. So with that, I will approve Mr. Blake Deal to take over the screen, and Blake, should be all yours, man.
Okay, thank you, Andy. See if this works. It's not advancing. Oh, there we go. The delay is longer than I expected. So, apologize for my background video. I'm trying to figure out what that bright spot is up over my head because all my lights are off and my shades are down. So I actually think it's a halo, just so everybody knows I am blessed today. And I'll share my blessing with everybody else. Snap, one of my favorite partners, and for those of you who know my background, I've been with Lutron 34 years. It will be starting my 35th year here at the end of this month, and I've done everything, but I'm passionate about this channel, this customer base, and our residential business, and working with integration partners I've done since really, the Rings, the Sonos entered the channel, entered the business. We work together very closely on a regular basis because at the end of the day, and I think you hear this from both Todd and JT, is we are better together. So real quickly, I don't know how we're going to take an hour talking about how complicated this is, because really the goal is to talk about how easy it is, and Darren at the end will talk about that. But for those of you who don't know, just because of my history there, I think this is important that everybody understands. A lot of you know who Lutron is, but for those of you who have not started the journey with lighting control as a category of your business, now's the time. And Lutron's the brand, and here's why. It's real simple. I think it's 60 or 61 years now, but we're family owned. And the photos there, Mrs. Spiro and Mr. Spiro. Mr. Spiro was the inventor of the solid state dimmer back in 1959. His wife was an integral part of the company. And when he passed away 5 years ago, his wife passed away 2 years ago, their daughter, Susan, to the far right, Susan Hakkarainen, she's done pretty well. She's got a PhD from MIT. She's been with the company about as long as I have. What's very interesting, though, is most family-owned companies like this, privately owned, after the first generation, they go downhill if they succeed at all. What's impressed me about what Susan's done is Lutron. As she took over the reins, we've only gotten better. She was bright enough to realize how great her dad and her mom were, the culture they created and the quality and everything else. But she found things that he maybe wasn't willing to do. And she's really taken us to the next level. And it's, for us, it's all about unrivaled innovation, outstanding service, 24/7 support, world-class quality, our defective rates, everything we make is tested before it leaves the factory, everything, even rotary dimmers, which we actually still make. And then really all about taking care of the customers, our number one priority. So, from a brand perspective, we go to great lengths to make sure you and ultimately your customers are delighted with high quality systems. And as we travel around the country and talk to all the different, whether it's architect, engineers, end users, tradespeople, here's the three words we just hear. Why Lutron? It just works. And that can't be emphasized anymore, the importance of that, I think all of you know, in the residential world. So real quickly, slide to advance. Okay. Tell you what, Andy, the delay here, how about I turn control back to you and you click through them? Does that make sense?
No worries. Yeah, I can do
Okay,
that.
so I'm going to give up control. So let's go to Lutron systems that I'm going to overview very, very quickly and then get to the meat of this thing. So go ahead, next slide. Okay. The absolute best entry-level product category for anybody to get started with lighting control is our Caseta, which we introduced in 2014. It's really the core brand that works with a lot of our integration partners like Sonos and Ring. Why Caseta? It's simple. It's easy. It's simple app setup and integration. So think about this as tradespeople. You guys are all busy. That's a reality. I know that, and I appreciate that. The older I get, the more I appreciate that. The change is hard, and you trying to onboard and train your staff on new technology, you need simple solutions that you can quickly get up to speed with and make money. Smart works with other best-in-class smart home technology. We already talked about that with Sonos and Ring and others. Affordable. Any customer you're doing a job for can afford Caseta. It's that simple. Next slide. Okay. High level overview goes up to 75 devices. So home size, at the end of the day, if you do every device in lighting control in the home, you're probably going to run out of gas with Caseta, probably 3,000, 3,500 square foot home. That does not mean you can't use it in larger homes, because the reality is it's very rare that somebody in this category puts lighting control or a system on every light in their home. Usually it starts with the major public spaces. So, somebody ask me, what's the right Lutron system? Whichever one the customer wants. And, this is it. So 75 devices. You can see we have dimmers for both LED and ELV. We have switches, we have plug-in dimmers, and we have fan speed controls along with aux sensors. And that's kind of it. It's that simple. Next slide. That's more the mass market product. If you want to go into something a little higher end, not quite as widely available. Obviously, everybody knows the reality. Caseta is available everywhere, whether it's Home Depot, Lowe's, and the evil Amazon. Sorry, Todd. I love Amazon or Ring. At the end of the day, Raw 2 Select, going to the next one. Here's how I describe Raw 2 Select. It's exactly the same as Caseta in terms of simplicity and ease of setup with the apps. But next slide, it goes up to 100 devices, and it's built on our Maestro style lighting controls, our RF Maestro controls, which have been part of Radio Raw since its introduction in 1997. So you have a much broader offering of controls and capabilities. So if you're doing that home that requires kind of a higher level of integration, more style, more options, really this is a place to start. And a benefit for you as an installer is it's just as simple to set up and learn for your teams and to integrate as Caseta is. Okay, so you've got some differentiated features there. And the other benefit is if somebody outgrows this Raw 2 Select system, they can upgrade to a Radio Raw system by just upgrading and replacing the main repeater. So it's that simple. What does the customer want from a style and functionality standpoint? Regardless, and for those of you at CD a couple of years ago or last Pro Breakfast, I threw out a challenge. I firmly believe one of the least understood and greatest products that Mr. Spear ever invented is the Pico remote control. And I've called it the power of Pico, and it's really about control where you need it. And I will tell you, for every customer and every job, there are opportunities to use Pico. And I think you'll see when Todd talks, and especially with the guys from Sonos JT, this is a game changer for a Sonos customer. Control where you want it. It's more than just lighting control. You see, we have the audio control for Sonos, shade control, fan control, light control. Next slide. Scene control. And this product works across all of our residential product lines from Caseta through Homeworks. We also use this in all of our commercial solutions as well. So this has become a universal control. It's intuitive, easy to set up, can be put in your pocket, can be mounted on a pedestal, can be screwed to a wall or 3M taped to a wall. You can put a control wherever you want it. So think about this, and here's where I challenge you. Your customers aren't any different than you and your families. And I would argue this. If you ask any one of your customers, hey, where would you like to have a lighting control in your house, but don't? Everybody can think of one or two places. If you've got Sonos, hey, where would you really like to control your audio from if you don't have your phone or for friends or guests? This is powerful. This is a game changer. Next slide. Now for something new. This was announced this week. My guess is a lot of you want to talk about this is the new Radio Raw 3. I've been on the phone more in the last 2 days, 3 days, talking about this with customers, distributors alike across the board. It's coming. It's coming the 17th of January. Gary and I right now are working on a Snap webinar for this on the 18th of November. So stay tuned. There'll be a lot more information that follows. That's all I'm going to say about Radio Raw 3 today. Next.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Blake. I'm turning it over to Todd.
All right. Hey, appreciate taking the time. I know all of us on the panel here are honored you'd spend the time to learn more about our products and solutions. At Ring, really, again, the mission is to, protect our neighborhoods and make neighborhoods safer. I think when I look at a dealer who would be on this call and hears that, I think, oh, great. But, the reality is that you don't want to be in just a single home. You want to be in a block, a neighborhood. You want to be then in that community and thrive in the community, right? So I think our brand, our message is all about helping you get referrals in your community and stimulate your business. So again, that is a mission that we have as a company, but it absolutely is a reflection of our efforts here in the Pro channel, the install solutions with that. And for me, it starts with the team. We've built a team here that is all about the install solutions and Pro channels and custom integration. My team is built with dealers who guys that were dealers that understand what you go through on an everyday basis and trying to integrate all these different partnerships. And I think it's a huge win that we have as far as the people who can support you all across the country. So whether you're buying from, Snap One on the e-commerce side, or if you're MRI or purchasing from any of those locations, Volutone and AllNet, our territory account managers can absolutely help you and guide you through some of this. But again, I'm honored you guys would spend the time to understand more about Ring and our integration partnerships. So we also want to talk about, the partnerships we have with Sonos and the ability to have our chimes rung through their speakers throughout the home, and they'll get into that, the exciting aspect of that. And then in Lutron, the ability that we have in the integration partnerships and how you can install these enhanced solutions for your customer and make a great experience, right? But we also want to touch upon Alex A, as I say, otherwise my speakers would be going off as well. But the integration there with Amazon and Alex A is a huge important piece. You see in C Pro top 100 that Amazon owns 82% of the voice control market. So it's something that is definitely in play. We want you folks to understand that, hey, we do have a tight integration, whether it's with door locks and Schlags and our alarm and setting our alarm. There's a lot to it, right? So over here, disarm, or Alex A, lock the front door, or Alex A, good night. There's a ton of stuff that can be done with that to, again, make your installs better, make the experience for your customers great. And I think that's what we're looking for as a company, to have you learn from from spending time today. So the whole home security, right? We do offer it. So I really would like you to think of Ring not just as the doorbell. And yes, that's where it starts. That's how it got started with Jamie Siminoff in the garage. And it is about the doorbell. But today, our message at Ring is so much more than doorbells. It's about the whole home security. So whether you're talking about doorbells, security cameras, alarm, or smart lighting, right? I think these are all aspects that we offer for you to do the install. And we've talked to, just as a matter of fact, this morning, a dealer called me and said, hey, I've got to find out about the smart lighting a little bit more. I've got some questions on that. So it is starting to be a possibility for some of the smart pathway lights out in the, out in your, front yard and backyard, that I think have a real play here too. So think of Ring as the whole home security offering. So yeah, I think it's important too today to talk about, how you as a dealer take Ring, this DIY product that many of you on this webinar today would think, hey, Ring's a DIY. I don't really install it. I install an elevated level, or a concierge level of service, as my colleague Rich Way would say. But today I really want to talk through the Lutron and Ring integration so that you, the dealer, can install something that's a great experience. And I'll have one story here. And as my kids get older, we no longer are part of the PTA. We're actually part of raising money for the sports boosters, right? So we had people over at our house this weekend, and we had about 40 people to raise money. So we had wine, beer, sodas, etc. Do you know what got the most play? Was one is my lighting, and that is Caseta throughout the home, when people would walk around and set motions on my security cameras, and we're going to get into that. But also my sound array that's hooked up to Sonos, right? So people are like, wow, what's this outside that you're listening to? This is phenomenal. And when I would say Sonos, they would say, well, I don't see the speakers. I see so it was a great example of what our industry can do and bring people aware. Wow, like I think of it this way, but no, there is so much more. And the brands on here today, Sonos, Lutron, and Ring, I think we have that, right? So with this slide, it's about the smart lighting, right? So key reasons, right, for smart lighting: remote access, schedules, geofencing, right? Smart away, stuff that you could turn on and off randomly. So when we're away, that's what we do. Hey, 8 o'clock it turns on, 9 it turns off. And we have an actual it's on and off scenario throughout the night, and we think that makes us safer. Then what about the reasons for smart doorbell cams, right? There's no secret here. It's convenience. There's peace of mind. I could see who's at my door. I could see some of the motion that was detected in it, right? So there's all of that part. Communication, so I could see and talk to, like when my neighbor comes over and she just wants some sugar or flour, I can say, yeah, let me grab that for you, Sue. And then deliveries, and you can keep an eye on these deliveries. So those are the reasons for smart lighting and for doorbells. And I think we want to talk about how you combine the two, right? So when you put them together, you're going to get peace of mind, right? You're going to get what it gives you. It's going to add convenience, and it's also going to welcome you home, right? So all of these things that you're able to do. So just as I look at this slide, right, peace of mind, I could see who's setting off motion, who's at my door. When with the Ring cameras detect motion, I could turn on interior or exterior lights. And that was a big topic of the sports boosters, is that when people would walk up, my porch light and my side lights would all turn on based on that, my integration with Lutron and my Caseta. It did actually spark multiple conversations about, hey, that's awesome. How does that happen? More than 2 wives asked and 2 husbands. So 4 people actually called me out and said, hey, how do you do the light, the motion, right? How does that work? And so I went on to explain. And then, hey, when you get home and all your lights are on, it just is safer, it's convenient. And I can tell you right now, both my mom, my mother-in-law, and my wife love that when they come to our house at night, all of our lights spark on, and it gives them a safe, secure entrance into the home.
All righty. Andy, I'm going to take control if that's okay. There we go. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited to get in here and talk a little bit about some of the Sonos integrations and how we play a part in everything with the other 2 brands. My name, if this is going to click, my name is JT Pruitt. I am a senior national trainer for Sonos. We've been doing this virtual thing for almost 18 months at this point, and we do webinars on a monthly basis. I am just one of 5 people behind the microphone, but if you ever have any questions, you can, of course, reach out to us at webinar-support@sonos.com, and we can answer any of those. But today, we're here to talk about Sonos and not only the integrations, but kind of where we started. And our mission has always been to empower people and listeners in general to listen better. And really, we want to empower listeners to listen everywhere. It's pretty simple. And our goal behind that is always been to be able to deliver that in brilliant sound. And the installer community has been such a huge part of being able to do that. You guys are able to guide your clients to make the right choices on product and solutions and how it integrates inside their home and inside their lives. And our goal has always been to provide that brilliant sound, like I said, and being able to give the customer the freedom to choose where they want to listen. So no matter if the customer wants to listen in the living room, in the bedroom, in the kitchen, or everywhere, they hear everything in brilliant sound. And Sonos always believes, as my slides click here, there we go. And we've always believed in being completely agnostic when it comes to music service and how customers get their content, whether it's through streaming services, which is really the most common way in this day and age, or even if it's through local content. We understand that consumers still have this need and desire to play this local content that they have. If it's available, we want to be able to play it anywhere, and we want customers to be able to enjoy that no matter where it is. But in general, for music services, there's kind of the big 3, right? There's direct, which allows you to do things like AirPlay 2, so stream anything directly from your iOS device directly to a Sonos product, whether it's a Sonos amp, a Sonos port, or even a Sonos all-in-one speaker. And then, of course, the local, being able to take anything that's on a NAS drive or being able to stream anything from a line input via a Sonos amp, a Sonos 5, or even a Sonos port. Right there in the middle, we have the free option, right? The Pandoras of the world, and even the newly launched Sonos Radio built right into the Sonos app. And then on the far right here, we have that paid subscription. So being able to get your music on demand through the likes of Spotify or Apple Music, or even through some of our higher audio quality partners like Qobuz or Tidal. And it just doesn't stop with those kind of the ones that I mentioned, right? I mentioned only a few services, but there's over 100 different music services available on Sonos today, which if I asked you to try to name 100, chances you'd probably get to 20 maybe, and then you'd kind of be dropped off. But there are tons of different content out there that's available for your customers to enjoy. And the Sonos family, when it started, was pretty small, right? We had our architectural stuff with the Connect and Connect amp, and then we got into home theater. But now it's kind of broad. You know, we've got it from left to right here, starting with our portable products, the Sonos Roam, and the Sonos Move gives you the ability to not only have Sonos inside the home, but also take it on the go because they also have Bluetooth. So being able to take that brilliant sound outside of the house. We have our all-in-one speakers with the Sonos One and the Sonos One SL and the Sonos 5 that really are great for any type of job that has a retrofit, right? Where you can't exactly run the wires, but they still want to listen to music. The Sonos One and the Sonos One SL work perfectly in bathrooms, and paired with a Pico remote, make it even easier to listen to music wherever you would like to. But let's not forget about the home theater space. The home theater space is where a lot of consumers have been spending the most time in the past 18 months, right? Not only are they watching television and streaming the latest season of Tiger King, but they're also listening to music right there on their home theater systems. And we have two options with the Sonos Arc and the Sonos Beam Gen 2. And of course, never forget the sub. You always got to remember the sub. Last but not least, our most popular products inside of the IS channel, and that's the port and the amp, right? Being able to take a Sonos port and hook it to any third-party amplifier, just like Todd was talking about with his Sonorray system outside, or even being able to power a pair of outdoor speakers or a pair of great towers with the Sonos amp. But we've also launched our Sonos by Sonance architectural line, which is actual architectural speakers that are built by Sonance, or I'm sorry, they're built by Sonos, partnered with Sonance to help manufacture these guys. Now, when they are partnered with the Sonos amp, you do get to unlock the power of TruePlay. And if you have any questions, we can touch on that a little later. But one of the big things about Sonos is we've always believed in continuity of control with our products, meaning you can start one place. So for example, start in the Sonos app and then be able to pick it up in another place. And that seamless transition makes it easy for all consumers. Of course, you have the Sonos app, like I just mentioned. You have total control from the palm of your hand. This is where you take the deep dive search into music services or playlists, or select your favorites, or even group rooms, run that TruePlay software, and so forth. But we also have direct control. Now, I mentioned direct earlier when we were talking about AirPlay 2, but direct control through partners like Spotify, Tidal, or iHeartRadio allows the consumer to play directly from those apps that they love. They just hit the available devices and you see it pop right up in the screen, and then they send it to their living room, as an example. We've recently launched with the Sonos Roam Bluetooth line-in, which kind of is like AirPlay for Android, if you will. The Sonos Roam now has the ability, because it runs Wi-Fi and Bluetooth congruently at the same time, you can take a Bluetooth stream from whatever phone or iPad or whatever it may be to the Sonos Roam. Because it still works on Wi-Fi, you then go into the Sonos app and group it with the rest of your products. So if you have a Sonos Roam and you're Bluetoothing it, you could actually group it with your Sonos Arc that's over the fireplace. But we also have touch control, right? We mentioned earlier in the presentation, not always having your phone. That happens a lot. So being able to simply just walk right over to a speaker, hit play, hit pause, adjust the volume, and of course mute the microphone with a simple tap of the button or swipe to get to your next track. When we're talking about partner control, we touched on the Pico, and again, it's probably one of my favorite products because it's just a simple solution and it makes life a little bit easier when you may not have your phone. I use my Pico for my outdoor solution all the time. So being able to use third-party devices like that Pico or even voice platforms to have simple playback functions to give customers that great experience. And we talked a little bit about voice control earlier with Ring, and we're going to touch a little bit on it later. But Sonos has built-in and works with. What does that mean? Built-in is obvious, right? It's built into the Sonos product. So the Sonos One, the Sonos Arc, Sonos Beam Gen 2, Sonos Move, Sonos Roam all have the ability to do voice control through Amazon or Google right there inside of the Sonos product. But on the flip side, if they have a product, say a Sonos One SL or a Sonos 5 or even a Sonos amp, you can pair an Amazon Dot with that product and say, hey, I'm not going to say it for Todd's sake, but hey, Alex A, play blah, 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 blah. And then it's going to play right there on that product that you paired it with. And that's it for me for now. Andy, I'll give you your screen back too.
Great, thanks. And then Blake, if you want to start
Go ahead
touching
and
on the
click the
integration.
slides. Yeah, I think they've touched on it, and I'm going to go quickly so that we can get to Darren and tell you how to make money with this. Go ahead and go to the next one. And it really is about every customer, every integration. And JT talked about, the audio Pico with the Sonos. Here's what I'm going to say, because I love what he talks about. Every customer is different and every use case is different. But I would argue in today's home, there's you can make a case for control from apps, control from hard buttons, and control via voice based on the room, the person, and who's using the solution, whether it's Sonos, whether it's Ring or anything else. And the real beauty of Pico, everybody I know at Sonos has one, is like you can stick it wherever you want. And my wife, she never carries her phone. And she was livid that, well, how do I control the Sonos? When I got this set up, she's like, oh, I can listen to music. Until before I did that, she never listened to it. So Pico makes it really easy. The other reality is you can integrate now in your audio into lighting scenes. Okay, so you could have an entertainment scene that plays your favorite song, goes right to the Sonos channel and source that you want. Next. Go ahead, go to the next one. Here's how simple this is to set up. Now, those you can read. You can read this faster than I talk through it. Okay. It's 4 or 5 steps here. Let's skip to the next slide. And we'll leave this there. This is what it looks like in the Lutron app. When you open the Cascade app, you click on the little settings wheel and you add a device. Click on Add Device. Next screen. You scroll down and you say, wow, I can add dimmers, switches, whatever. I could add a Ecobee thermostat, which was just bought by my friends at Generac yesterday, for those of you who didn't read the news. And one of the options is, oh, look, you can add Sonos, the home audio control. You click on that, enter your Sonos username and password, and the systems are linked. As soon as you do that, here's my new home in Idaho, which I'm just now reconfiguring. Automatically, every one of your Sonos rooms appears in your Caseta app. So now it's just like a dimmer, a light switch, or anything else that I can integrate audio into any solution I want within my lighting control system. It's that simple. It takes about a minute to integrate the two, and then you have complete visibility and control. Next. Ring. Really the same thing. And I think Todd, I love the way Todd presented, lighting use cases, Ring use cases from a security peace of mind. And when you move those two together and combine them together, it really does enhance it. And the example he gave about people asking all the time, that's real. How do you make this stuff work? It appeals to every customer that you're working with. Next. Same thing, set it up, open the app, and I think you probably saw Ring in there. You do the same thing, you enter your Ring username and password, and now you decide what actions trigger the lights when the doorbell rings, when the camera detects motion. Now, I love the motion thing, because what I've realized in Idaho, nobody rings doorbells. So I need the motion to activate a light so I know who the hell's at my door. Other integration partners, I've really got 2 sides here. We have the mass market consumer integration stuff on the left, and then obviously pro channel integration on the right. Work with all of them. We kind of already talked about this. Kind of walks through how you set them up. But I don't think we need to spend a lot more time. Do you have any comments you want here? I think we really talked about a lot of this stuff already.
Yeah, no, I think it's really the two combined. You guys get that part of it.
It's
Camera
not
senses
complicated.
motion. Yeah, exactly. It's not complicated. Get in, get out, get paid, and look good doing it is what I'd like to say, right? I mean, that's really what the message is for the integrators on this call.
Yeah, and then this one, Todd and I think we talked yesterday. Let's add Radio Raw 3 on here. Radio
Correct.
Raw 3 brings really into the modern world. So every integration that's available, Cascade or Raw 2 Select and Homeworks is now available, or will be available with Raw 3 as soon as it starts shipping.
Hey, Blake, just a quick question came in the Q&A. Can you confirm that the Sonos integration works with all levels of Lutron, or is it just a Caseta?
No, all levels,
Awesome.
all levels. Yeah.
Thank you, Blake.
So JT, I don't know if you want to take back over, if you want me to go through it, but
I got it.
cool.
Here we go. Just turning my levels back up here. All right. So, the guys through Ring and Lutron really talked on how the integrations work together, right? How you set them up. But I kind of wanted to take a different approach to this and kind of give you the why behind it and kind of my own opinion and in this because I own all three brands and I use them all the time, right? But Sonos and Lutron in particular have been working together for years and have obviously the great integration between lighting and music. And at the end of the day, most consumers that are Sonos end users are Lutron users as well. And of course, that's vice versa. And the great thing about it is you're able to create these scenes to play certain music and during certain music during each scene, as well as the lighting to reflect that particular scene. So, for example, if I say good morning, not only do my lights turn on, but I can have what my favorite sports radio, and I'm a Braves fan. So this morning it was the local sports radio listening to the World Series recap. So thanks for that. And then on the flip side of that, good
They
night.
ran.
Oh yes, they did. Oh yes, bring it home for the first time in 20-something years. So I'm a thrilled man this morning. On the flip side of that, the good night scene not only ends by day by having an automatic schedule or by triggering by voice, but turns off all my lights and then starts my rain sound in my bedroom to get myself ready for a perfect night of rest. All of these examples can be triggered and scheduled through the apps and, of course, through a voice, and they only take a few seconds to set up. It's pretty simple. I'll get to the next scene here. Now, with Sonos and Ring, we don't exactly have an exact integration. Now, with that being said, there's some ways to get around that. And that's through the power of Amazon Alexa. And being able to do things and incorporate Alexa through voice to do a lot of different things with security, music, and now, of course, lighting. If a Ring doorbell gets pressed and you do have a voice-enabled speaker through Sonos, so a Sonos One, Sonos Move, Arc, Beam Gen 2, you can actually have that doorbell chime come through your Sonos-enabled speaker, and it'll say, the doorbell will ring and say, hey, there's someone at your front door. But by triggering something like Alexa, good morning, and sorry, Todd, if your Amazon's going off behind you, not only my lights turn off, but my favorite radio, good morning, my lights turn on, my favorite radio starts playing, and then my Ring system actually disarms itself from the night before. And the reason is because I'm able to set that up through routines through the Amazon Alexa app. The programming is fairly simple, but it does require a few different steps to enable some of these custom skills like disabling an alarm or enabling an alarm. From there, you go into your routines. You select all of your actions. For the Ring portion of the Alexa, you just have to say set Ring to disarm, and then if you have a code, you type that code in after that. By doing so, all of this allows all three products to really give consumers at the end of the day peace of mind and a way to work together. And this is another example of my, this is what you're seeing on the screen is actually my house and actually my app. So I'm saying, Alexa, good night. Not only do my lights turn off everywhere, my music starts playing where I want it to, but my Ring then arms itself to home mode for the rest of the night. Again, same concept, going into the Sonos or the Alexa app, setting all of your proper commands or your actions, if you will, and then that continuity of control brings it back home where you see everything reflect in that Sonos app as well. And then that's it for me. Andy, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And obviously with that, want to welcome Darren to the webinar, right? So
Hey,
Darren, I
Andy.
know you and I had talked a little bit about this, but and we just put some general questions on there, but we want to open the floor to you and just kind of talk about your business and how you've been able to be successful with these products, and maybe give some insights to our other, the other dealers on how they can maybe do the same.
Yeah, really good. Hey, it's really an honor to be here. Obviously, I've got a great relationship with everybody on panel. I'm on the Sonos advisory board with JT and working with Ring and Todd on some really neat stuff for the Pro channel. And Blake and I are extremely close. And I'm going to actually start with something Blake said to me at the breakfast at the last CEDIA meeting. And it was the last CEDIA event that we did, and we were having the Lutron breakfast. And he said, "How many of you put Lutron on every project?" I think out of 200 people, I was the only one that raised my hand. And Blake said, "You do a lot of Caseta, don't you?" I said, "I do." And I'm sitting at the table with the vice president of Lutron. And I was actually kind of embarrassed that we did so much. I think we put in like 3,000 Caseta switches that year. And I was a little bit embarrassed to admit to my colleagues at CEDIA that I do a lot of Caseta, until I found out, until Blake stood up and he pulled a Pico out of his pocket and he said, "Hey, the power of the Pico, and if you don't have Caseta in your offering, you're missing the boat." And I began to talk to a lot of integrators, and I said, "How often do you put lighting on your projects?" And they said, some were like 10%, some are 20%, some are 40%. And I said, if you're not offering lighting on every project, you're missing the boat. And then the big question for the integrators, yeah, but how do I make money doing it, right? Can I make money doing it? I can't make money offering Caseta. And this is a perfect webinar for this, because you can make money. And I love being a part of Sonos. I love being a part of Ring, and I love being a part of Lutron, because I'm the founder and CEO of Unify Smart Home, and I'm also now the COO of High Solutions, which we're a nationwide automation company whose our goal is to be the preeminent provider of home automation. And what we're really, really excited about is being able to offer this product to not only the high level clients, but everybody. And these products, by the way, some of my integrations that we're doing in our projects are $150,000 to $180,000 projects that include a lot of shades, include Radio Raw 2, or include Caseta. But we offer these products to every single customer. And here's the key. So here's the first. I want to tell a real quick story. I was at a Lutron Shades training, and I'm sitting at a table with a group of guys, and they're all talking about programming Control 4, and they're talking about Crestron and Savant and all these awesome third-party control systems that they're programming. And they asked me, they said, "What's your go-to control system?" And I was like, gosh, what am I going to say, Alexa? Lutron and Sonos. Anyway, I said, I actually don't use a control system very often, if ever. And I take all the APIs that these guys are talking about on this panel, and I integrate them into an automation solution. 5 years earlier at CEDIA, people were I could tell they were kind of laughing or, looking, or like, you must be offering a low-end system. And it was really interesting, because at this very high-end shade solution training, I had a table of people look at me and said, "Tell me how to do this. How are you doing this?" And I was fascinated that they were interested in here. And I said, "Why are you so interested?" Because I can tell you're genuinely interested. And here's what they said. And here's why there's 100 people on this call today. They said this: "Because my customers more and more and more are requiring this. They're asking for it, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to take these products and integrate them into a simple solution without a third-party control." And so what I love about this is the first question is, how can I make these products part of my business? The first thing I'm going to say is, do not think of them as products. Think of them as a system. Sonos, Ring, Lutron is a custom design and personalized automation system that you're providing. and all the APIs and all the works with that they've put together, you've got to be good at. We've got to know how they work, how they integrate, and most important, not just how they work, but what the experience is that delivers to the customer. So you've got to know how to take these integrations that they've put together. And by the way, this is the key to making money here with this, and be able to put them into routines and scenes and systems that actually work in the day-to-day lives of your customer. That's what we've done at Unify. So something simple, what are the selling points, right? So what are the selling points for the customer? And here's what it is. The selling point is an automation system. Don't sell features, right? Don't sell features, sell the customer experience. So don't say, hey, so what we do, and I'll talk over here in my own experience, is we try not to say, hey, when your camera sees someone, it can turn on lights in the house. Yeah, that's a feature it has. It really works. But sell the experience. Hey, when someone's on your property and you're not home, and a motion sensor outside goes on, they know what that is. But man, when a camera picks someone up and starts turning lights on inside the house, people are gone. Is that an experience that you're interested in? I want that experience, right? When I wake up in the morning and I walk into my living room, automatically between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., my shades go up, right? My alarm system turns off. I get the news. All my lighting lights exactly the way I want it, and my radio station starts playing very quietly in my office. That's my morning routine, and that's triggered without me saying a word or pressing a button, just by walking into my living room and having a motion sensor that works with Alexa, right? Trigger a scene that automatically turns on my lighting. And what I love is I don't have to go into Alexa and do all my Sonos programming, because I've already done that in Lutron. So I've got my good morning routine built in Lutron, where I immediately go in and select all my rooms, all my volumes, and all my favorites. And the minute my Alexa motion hits me, it triggers a Lutron scene. The Lutron scene turns on my Sonos and also turns off my alarm system. So it does all that, but that's how we make money doing it, because that's an experience that the customer wants. So even though it has those features, at Unify and High Solutions, we're really selling the experience. And these are products in an experience. Having a whole home automation system isn't something that a lot of production, people that are buying production homes and track homes and entry-level homes, they're not used to having a home automation system. So when you sell a home automation system, you can make money doing it. Now, so let me go to the next question. Why are simple and reliable integrations important? We all know the answer to that, because simple integrations and repeatable integrations create efficiencies, and efficiency creates money. And I want to explain where we make our money with these products. Everyone knows we're not making tremendous margins necessarily on the product themselves. Don't get hung up on that. If you're selling Caseta and you're selling it for $59, yeah, I know you guys aren't making a ton of money doing that, but don't undersell yourself on the installation side of things. We bring in an electrician to put in all of our Caseta switches. We charge the customer $15 per switch to have the cut, and we take $20 per switch, and we charge the customer $30 a switch. However, that's totally up to you, and I would check with, make sure you're doing things that you're licensed to do and do things right. But we make really good money on the installation side. But where we make fantastic money is on the integration. So yeah, you say, well, these integrations are so easy, and I know Sonos talks about how easy it is, and Lutron talks about how easy it is, and they are. They're easy to activate, they're easy to set up. but to actually build and design automations that are custom designed and personalized for the customer, they will spend a lot of money to do that. We charge about $2,000 to set up a home where all we're doing is designing the scenes and routines and integrations for the personalization. And that's where you make money. So I may only have $600 in Caseta switches for maybe 25 switches and maybe some Sonos, but we can charge a lot of money for the integration. Does that make sense? And then we can also move up to Radio Raw 2, our Homeworks. We can also take all that Sonos equipment and begin to put in, like you said, the outdoor experience with Sonos, or the invisible speakers of Sonos with powered by the Sonos amp or the port. There's so many fantastic things we can do without having to need, and I'm not down on third-party control, but we can build custom designed home automation systems without third-party control, thanks to the APIs and the integrations and the work that these partners put into these products that our customers know, love, and want. So I don't know if that answers all the questions, but stop relying on the margins of the product and start relying on the integrations and your expertise for how to take all these integrations and build them into a money-making system that the customers are really excited to pay for, because they're tired of not being able to make their home work. They know they Frankenstein their home, and you guys know it. If they put in a bunch of apps, products that you're using the app, and you're not integrating it into a unified system using Alex A or HomeKit or something that actually integrates it, you're missing it. And there's a lot of money you're leaving on the table. So
Darren,
that's it.
That's awesome. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining. I think it's a lot of those things that you said just really hit home to me, and actually it ties into some Lutron slides I saw way back. One is, if our industry that we all work in and love, we serve the top 5, maybe even the top 1% of income earners in the U.S. And I know all of us are facing labor constraints, right? It's always tough to find good labor and help these days. So it's very difficult to take on more jobs. But these types of products that have such incredible brand pull, like you said, Darren, talking to other integrators and dealers, customers are asking for it, right? Like they know this stuff. This is what they know by name. They don't know everything that goes into a rack and all that stuff by name, but this is stuff that they want, they've heard, they've seen their neighbors with. And it's a great way to expand your business, right? There's that whole, other than the top 5% of the pyramid, there's that whole other, probably 60% of the middle, upper middle class, or whatever you want to call it, that could still, you could still leverage. And there might be smaller jobs, but you can do volume and quantity of jobs. Again, simple, repeatable. And get it in. So it's great stuff. Thank you very much for joining. I don't know if we have any open questions, and obviously all the panelists, everyone, are welcome to answer them. I know. Thanks for all of you for the help in answering the questions, as well as some of the other people I know that joined from the different organizations to help out. I think Alfred, is there a plan for Homeworks to include the IoT integration you are speaking about today? That would be Blake for you.
Don't know. I live in the world of the masses. Okay, and I'm serious about that. I've been Lutron 34 years. My world is Radio Raw and down for the masses. And when to reinforce what Darren said, and I think JT and Todd. Yeah, if you're building a 50,000 square foot sustainable home, you probably need a control system. Below that, the API integration and work that Lutron, Sonos, and Ring have done to create a simple, amazing experience for the customer will satisfy 99% of the customers out there.
I completely agree, and I kind of want to just throw in not only my 2 cents, but kind of how I see the industry, right? There's no right or wrong way to do any of this. There's just multiple different options on how to do this. Control systems may be right for one customer, but their next door neighbor, it may not be, and vice versa. So I think the point in all of us getting together and thinking about how we do things differently, how we approach the industry differently, at the end of the day, it's about the end user and their experience, and that's what keeps everybody in business, right? They call you guys because you are the best, and being able to kind of line your toolbox with every possible option is the best for everybody going forward.
Yep. And I think that like this stuff, I mean, all great points. And that especially JT on that last one is like, and the point of all this is really easy to add to your toolbox, right? It doesn't take hours and hours of training and certification, which is great that you have and can offer that out of your kind of toolbox of products and services that you offer your customers. But this is stuff that you can learn and implement and repeat very, very easily and quickly. So JJ, appreciate the feedback and the support on the webinar and about the quality of it. That's very good. Thanks. I'm happy to hear that. I don't know about Cedia taking this on as a course, but who knows? Maybe someone from Cedia is listening. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Hey, Andy, real quick with the homeworks question, just by adding a connect bridge, you can add all these integrations.
Yeah, gotcha. There you go. And then it looks like Todd's answering a question, and he can answer it as well as I guess talk about it live if anyone knows it. Any integration with Hikvision Nvrs? Anybody? I would assume maybe Lutron, maybe Ring.
Yeah, so we currently do not have integration with Hikvision and their NVR. We did, however, announce our Alarm Pro, and our Alarm Pro has the ability for localized storage recording for the first time in our company's history. So that is something we have, and we've got, we're working on other more exciting things as well. But we'll have to announce that at a later time. But for us, no on the Hikvision, but yes to localized storage recording.
Yeah. Here's this question from Scott. I think it's a good one. Any design tools for selling the solution? I don't know of any specific design tools that encompasses all three brands, but maybe Darren, maybe you've got some insight into this, is like how you maybe design some of these simple, repeatable options.
Yeah, and Scott, you can reach out to me directly too at Darren at unifysmarthome.com, and I can kind of help you with that, because we've created all sorts of routine processes systematically designed to actually that we go in that we can implement very, very, very fast. So we do have a design solution that I can actually help you with.
Cool, awesome, thank you. And then there's a bunch of questions just popped in. How do you, sorry, I'm lost track here for a second as they popped in. How do you program systems if you have multiple end users in a home and all want different scenes and living patterns? It's open to anybody, really.
I can answer that. Okay. You build as many scenes as it takes. The cool thing is once I create a bedtime routine, so I guess you're saying if you want a bedtime routine for one child, you want a bedtime routine for a husband, you want a bedtime routine for a wife. Well, you're going to go in and you're going to build 3 bedtime routines or scenes. Let's say in Lutron, you're going to include turning off certain music, turning off certain lights, doing whatever you want that scene to do. You build that scene in Lutron, right? Include, and then what you'll do is then you'll take that scene. It automatically imports. If you're using Alexa, it will automatically import into Alexa, and then you can create a routine that anybody in home uses a different. So when I say, hey, it's Darren bedtime, it runs the Darren bedtime routine. Doesn't set my alarm yet because I know my wife's still up. But when my wife says, when you just say bedtime with no name, then maybe it does something different. So you can create different scenes with different triggers, either by touch, voice, that anybody in the house can trigger at different times that do different things.
Awesome, great. Hey, Todd and JT, there's a question in there from Renee. If you guys can answer that offline, because we're up on time and we got a couple other quick questions, and so if you guys can help out with that. a quick question, Dan, from Dan, about upgrading the main repeater in an existing system to get the new features in Lutron. I don't know if that's specific, if you're talking about RAW 3 and any upgrades there, but I know that existing main repeaters in RAW 2 Select and Caseta are capable of all these features.
Yeah, and I'll comment, RAW 3, you can go, it's backwards compatible to all
Good.
RAW 2
Awesome.
systems.
Awesome. And then we have from Anonymous, when avoiding third-party automation, what is High Solutions using to control video zones with multiple sources without having multiple remotes?
Most of the time we're using localized video sources. So Apple TVs with CEC on each TV. If a customer wants centralized video, then of course, then we are using either a Crestron remote at High Solutions or some type of third-party control, because we're not opposed to it. It's just used in the right. You don't have to always use it. We're not saying never use it. We're saying use it in the right situations.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one that we'll answer live now, and we've got our contact information up on the screen. So if there's any other follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us. And then, so this is from Steve Morgan. Any integration with Vera Z-Wave controllers? I guess that's open to anybody, but I don't think so. But you guys are
Z-Wave.
experts.
No, I'll answer that. It's the reality is this. We introduced Radio Raw in 1996, 1997 with Clear Connect. There's a reason we're still there. And that we haven't adopted some of these other technologies, and Darren could speak to that from a reliability standpoint. If they ever get there, at least as it relates to lighting, and I would argue probably for Sonos and Ring and the reliability, that's critical, because if you don't have that, guess what you have? Callbacks, and I don't think you make money on that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, again, appreciate all the panelists for joining, even the ones that were kind of behind the scenes. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of our dealer integrator partners for joining, taking the time out of your busy days to be with us. And obviously Derek, especially for taking the time to spend here with us. It's been awesome. Thank you very much for joining. It's been great. I'm going to turn it back over to Gary to wrap up. Before I do that though, I've just been itching to do this just for Todd. Alexa, play Wu-Tang Clan.
I have my headphones on.
Right.
No, hilarious, guys. But no, what a compelling hour, guys. I cannot thank you enough. You could tell by the each from Blake, for JT, and from Todd, the confidence in each one of these products, and each one of them have been on this show. We're talking about features. But what a compelling testimonial from Darren. And I think it really hit home with everybody. Darren, I thank you so much, because you have that tough spot as being like an agnostic guy. When you're talking about sitting in a round table at a breakfast and saying, hey, I don't use this, it's such a rebellious kind of an attitude. But I think what really hit home for the 100 or so dealers on there is you talked about your margins, you talked about the success, and you weren't afraid. You kind of just pushed this envelope. We're pre-programmed to think that the third party automation is where the profitability is, right? So it was really refreshing to hear how you've managed to do that, because we've got a lot of guys that are single or 2 or 3 man operations that just need to hear that profitability, that's it's already on most people's phones. It's already in most of these homes. Sure, we didn't really tackle the fact when you go in there and there's already an automation system that we've already got to deal with. That being said, you really allowed us to kind of see what you were doing and how successful it's been for you. And I really, really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much. Guys, we're going to be back in 4 hours. So if anybody's like leaving us right now, get your team members on in for the later afternoon discussion. Let's dive deeper if we can. Let's answer more questions, because these are both going to be recorded and outputted to a couple of hundred dealers from here on out. So guys, I thank you guys so much for the weekly webinar series. I am Gary from Snap One. Todd and Blake and Andy and Nick, Alberto, JT, awesome job. And Darren, thank you guys again. We will be back in a few hours. Thank you from all of us at Snap One. We know you're busy out there. Stay safe. You guys got the best of the best. What a great vendor package we presented today. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll catch you in a few hours. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.